Welcome, one and all, to the SpareTalk News Network. Your host, Rod Weaver, will be up momentarily as he gets ready for his one-on-one interactive podcast to kick things off. So, sit back and enjoy. And now, on with the show.
All right, welcome back to the show, everyone. Today we're diving into a topic that, honestly, I think gets overlooked a lot, but has a massive impact on our communities. We're talking about bowling leagues. And joining me today we have Colleen, who's not just a fan, but someone who's seen firsthand the incredible power these leagues hold. Colleen, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Rod. You know, when you first mentioned the topic, I instantly thought, yes. It's one of those things that seems so simple, just a game, but it weaves itself into the fabric of so many different groups in ways people don't always appreciate. I'm excited to unpack it.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, I remember going bowling as a kid, right? It was always a fun outing. But what's really struck me looking deeper into this is how it genuinely helps cement connections. Let's start with what feels like the most natural fit, family outings. You hear about family game night, but a bowling league? How do you see that strengthening the bloodline bond, as some might put it?
Oh, it's huge, Rod. Think about it. In today's world, families are so fragmented with schedules. Kids have soccer, parents have work, everyone's on their devices. A family bowling league, or even just regular family bowling outings, forces you to put all that aside and engage. It's a shared activity where age and skill level matter less than participation. You have grandparents bowling with grandkids, parents cheering on their teens. You're creating shared memories, inside jokes. It's not just about knocking down pins, it's about laughter, high fives, and even a little friendly competition that strengthens those relational muscles, you know? It's a low-pressure environment where everyone can just be themselves and have fun together. Those moments are priceless for building that lasting family connection.
I can totally see that. It's not just sitting around a table. There's movement. There's a little bit of physical activity involved, which is great. And it's something tangible you can plan for, a tradition. Okay, moving on from families, let's talk about the workplace. Work leagues. I've heard of companies doing team building exercises, but a regular bowling league for employees? What's your take on how that helps colleagues connect in a less stressed setting?
This is another fantastic one. Workplaces can often be siloed, right? You've got your department, your cubicle, your specific tasks. A work bowling league completely breaks down those barriers. Suddenly the CEO is high-fiving the intern, or the marketing team is challenging the IT department. You see people in a totally different light. The boss, who's usually all business, might be cracking jokes and showing off a surprisingly good hook. It fosters a camaraderie that just doesn't happen during a Monday morning meeting. It's a chance to build rapport, understand each other's personalities outside of deadlines and performance reviews, and that, in turn, can actually improve communication and teamwork back in the office because you've built a human connection first. It reduces stress, boosts morale, and, frankly, makes work a more enjoyable place to be.
That's a brilliant point about seeing people in a different light. It humanizes everyone, doesn't it? You get to know Brenda from accounting not just as the person who handles your expenses, but as someone who can bowl a mean strike. Okay, so we've got family, we've got work. Let's shift gears to community organizations, specifically church leagues. How do these leagues further bring a congregation together, maybe even creating more long-term relationships?
Oh, church leagues are incredibly special. For many, Sunday service is their primary interaction, but a league takes that fellowship to a whole new level. You're spending a couple of hours together, week after week, in a relaxed, fun environment. You're sharing laughs, maybe a little friendly rivalry. This kind of consistent, informal interaction allows people to move beyond surface-level greetings and really get to know each other, to form deeper friendships and build a stronger support network within the church community. It helps integrate new members, too. Instead of just being the new family, they're part of the Crusaders bowling team. It creates a sense of belonging, a shared identity that extends beyond the walls of the church building, fostering genuine, long-lasting bonds that can be incredibly supportive during life's ups and downs.
That's really insightful, Colleen. It's about building those bridges outside of the traditional setting. And it's not just churches, right? We're talking about other types of clubs, too. Like I've seen examples of bicycling clubs, or even bird-watching groups forming bowling leagues. It seems counterintuitive at first, going from the great outdoors to an alley. How does that help members of these specific interest clubs get to know each other better through a physical activity like bowling?
It's fantastic, isn't it? For these clubs, their primary activity, like cycling or birdwatching, is often very focused. You're concentrating on the road or quietly observing nature. There's conversation, sure, but it's often centered around the activity itself. A bowling league offers a completely different social dynamic. It's a chance to engage in lighthearted competition and conversation without the specific demands of their main hobby. So the birdwatchers can talk about their latest sightings, but also learn about each other's lives, their families, their other interests, all while having fun throwing a ball down a lane. It builds a deeper, more holistic understanding of each other. It strengthens the internal fabric of the club, making members feel more connected and more invested in the group as a whole. And it's an accessible activity that almost anyone can participate in, adding another layer of inclusivity.
I get it. It diversifies the engagement. You're not just the guy I bike with, you're also the guy I bowl with who's surprisingly good at spares. Speaking of different age groups, let's talk about the younger generation, junior leagues. In a world where kids are often glued to screens, how important are these leagues for fostering social interaction and overall development?
Oh, junior leagues are absolutely critical for development, Rod. Seriously. Kids today need structured social interaction more than ever. Bowling leagues teach so many valuable lessons: sportsmanship, how to win and lose gracefully, taking turns, cheering on teammates, even basic math skills with scorekeeping. It's a physical activity that improves hand-eye coordination and balance, but it's not high impact, so it's safer for varying skill levels. They learn to communicate, resolve minor conflicts, and build friendships outside of the school setting. Plus, it gives them a sense of accomplishment, belonging to a team, and something to look forward to each week. It's a huge confidence booster, and it gets them off the couch and engaging with their peers in a really positive, tangible way. It's invaluable in an era where so much interaction is virtual.
That's a fantastic point about the broader developmental skills beyond just bowling. It's like a microcosm of life, isn't it? Learning to be a good teammate, handle setbacks. Now let's swing to the other end of the spectrum, our senior citizens. How do bowling leagues provide the elderly with a weekly scheduled commitment to working the body, and what other benefits do you see for them?
Senior citizen leagues are, to me, one of the most heartwarming aspects of bowling. It's not just about the physical exercise, though that's incredibly important. It's low impact, promotes mobility, flexibility, and gentle cardiovascular activity. But it's also a powerful antidote to isolation and loneliness, which can be real issues for seniors. Having a weekly, scheduled commitment provides routine, purpose, and a strong sense of community. They're not just showing up to bowl, they're connecting with friends, sharing stories, celebrating birthdays, and supporting each other through life's challenges. It's cognitive stimulation too, keeping track of scores, planning shots. That momentary fountain of youth we talked about earlier, you see it vividly in seniors on a bowling league. The laughter, the friendly banter, the excitement of a strike, it injects so much joy and vitality into their week. It's truly a holistic benefit for their mind, body, and spirit.
You know, Colleen, you hit on something there that I think is key for all ages, but particularly for seniors. That momentary fountain of youth. It's not just about the physical movement, which is undeniable, but let's broaden that out to general exercise. How does bowling, especially in a league setting, truly provide healthy and safe movement of the limbs and muscles? And how does that casual competition generate physical exercise and even that temporary adrenaline rush?
It's an amazing full-body workout that you don't even really realize you're doing. You're walking back and forth to the lane, which adds up to a surprising number of steps over a few games. Then there's the arm swing, the squat, the lunge into the delivery. It engages your core, your legs, your back, your shoulders. It's low impact, so it's accessible for so many different fitness levels and ages, reducing the risk of injury while still providing tangible benefits for muscle tone and flexibility. And then there's the casual competition you mentioned, Rod. That's where the magic happens. When it's the 10th frame and it's a tight game and your team needs a spare or a strike to win, that's when the adrenaline kicks in. Your heart rate picks up, you're focused, there's that rush of excitement whether you nail it or not. That surge of emotion and physical exertion, even for a few seconds, it's invigorating. It boosts mood, burns calories, and honestly makes you feel alive. It's a fantastic, fun way to stay active without feeling like you're exercising.
I can totally attest to that adrenaline rush. I remember one time I needed a strike in the final frame, and I actually got it. My heart was pounding, I was laughing, high-fiving everyone. It was a genuine moment of pure exhilaration. It truly is a hidden gem for both physical and mental well-being. So looking at everything we've discussed today, from strengthening family ties, building workplace camaraderie, deepening church bonds, supporting club members, fostering child development, providing crucial engagement for seniors, and offering general exercise, it really paints a comprehensive picture of just how vital bowling leagues are, doesn't it?
It absolutely does, Rod. It's so much more than just a game. It's a community builder, a health enhancer, and a pure source of joy and connection for people of all ages and backgrounds. If you're looking for a way to get active, meet new people, or just have consistent fun, joining a bowling league is genuinely one of the best decisions you can make. It truly is a cornerstone of everyday society, bringing people together one frame at a time.
You know, after this conversation, I'm genuinely thinking about dusting off my old bowling shoes. Colleen, thank you so much for sharing your insights and passion for bowling leagues today. It's been an incredibly enlightening discussion.
My pleasure, Rod. Thanks for having me and letting me champion such an important and fun part of our communities.
And thank you to all our listeners for tuning in to Striking Gold, the unseen power of bowling leagues. If you're inspired to join a league, check out your local bowling alley. You might just find your new favorite community. We'll catch you next time.
From the year 1978, in the Montgomery Advertiser. Daddy thought I was crazy. Saturday, shortly before 3 p.m., Miss Cindy Moreau will stroll down the aisle on the arm of her father, who will be giving her in matrimony to Mr. Phil Tillery. Tillery and his best man, his father, will await her, as will her two sisters and Miss Linda Cook, who will serve as bridesmaids. Some 100 guests have been invited and it will be a normal ceremony, except it will be held on the approach between lanes 27 and 28 at Bama Lanes. Since the young Montgomery couple decided about 5 months ago to be married in the bowling alley where they met about a year ago, they have received mixed but mostly favorable reactions. My mama said it didn't really matter where you got married as long as you were serious about what you were doing. Miss Moreau recalled Sunday. My daddy thought I was just plain crazy, but he thinks it's an okay idea. Some of our friends thought it just wouldn't be like us if we didn't get married at the bowling alley. Tillery broke the news to his family at dinner one night. Mama nearly dropped her fork when I told them, he said. Daddy's reaction was just about like Cindy's mama's. He said it didn't matter whether we got married outside in the backyard or at the bowling alley. Phil and Cindy met at Bama Lanes shortly after the first of the year and have been dating ever since. The idea of getting married at the bowling alley was on both their minds, but he brought it up first. We were riding down the road one night and I looked at her and said, "Let's get married at the bowling alley," Tillery recalled. Well, she looked at me like I was crazy. We rode another block or two and at about the same time we looked at each other and said, "Why not?" What was really amazing about that was that I had been thinking about it, Cindy said. I was just afraid to bring it up. I don't know of any other person who has gotten married in a bowling alley, but I made a friend at a tournament in Atlanta and she said if she ever got married, she wanted to get married in a bowling alley. They broke the idea of Bama Lane's owner Steve Lander about 4 months ago. He gave us 6 weeks to back out of it, Tillery said. But there wasn't any doubt in our mind. We met here, we've spent a lot of our time together here and it's just about like a second home. When we didn't back out, Steve said go ahead. It will be business as usual at the 30-lane bowling center until about 2:55 p.m. Saturday. We planned it for the slack time of the day, Tillery said. There usually are only about 5 or 6 lanes running at that time of the afternoon. They'll shut it down completely about 5 till 3 until after the wedding. It's going to be a pretty normal wedding, said Cindy. Phil's going to wear a tux and I'll have on a long, white dress. I guess I'll get dressed back in the manager's office area and Steve will get dressed down in the lounge or in one of the restrooms. It's going to be a fairly small wedding. We invited about 100 people, but a lot of them are relatives from pretty far away and we're not sure if many of them will come. Both only bowl regularly in only one league right now, but both are above average bowlers and bowl fairly often in other leagues as substitutes. I've been bowling seriously for about the last 3 years, said Tillery, a 1975 Lanier graduate, who is carrying a 175 average. The only league either one of us are bowling as regulars in right now is Friday Night Live over at Montgomery Lanes. I've only been taking it real seriously for about the last 2.5 years, said Cindy, who graduated from Lee last year and carries a 155 average. After we get married, we're still going to bowl. It's our form of relaxation and entertain, not meant. We both enjoy it tremendously. Will they bowl right after the ceremony? No way, said Tillery. We enjoy bowling, but we're not going to spend our honeymoon in a bowling alley.
From the year 1985 in The Columbian. Milwaukee bowler Usted wins Touring Players title. Dave Usted averaged better than .256 and routed 3 opponents to capture the $125,000 Professional Bowlers Association Touring Players Championship Saturday at Saginaw, Michigan. Usted, of Milwaukee, Oregon, knocked off top-seeded Mark Baker, 268-238, in the championship game at Stardust Lanes to earn his first title since 1982. Earlier in the nationally televised finals, Usted stopped Mark Williams of Beaumont, Texas, 236-210, and eliminated 32-time, Professional Bowlers Association champion Mark Roth of Spring Lake Heights, New Jersey, 266 to 225. Usted averaged 9 strikes a game Saturday to pick up the first-place check of $20,000. From the Grand Haven Tribune in the year 1997. Bowling and you're back. Professional bowlers are probably closer to their amateur counterparts than other athletes. Their physical problems and injuries are similar, so it's wise to heed the reports of chiropractors traveling on pro bowling tours. Most bowling injuries, they say, are caused by overuse. A pro tournament may require a player to roll as many as 42 games over a period of 4 or 5 days. The result, body stress. Also, bowling is an asymmetric sport. Rarely ambidextrous, players perform either right or left-handed. And because they use their legs to transfer power to the ball, the whole body shifts to one side. Other problems include artificial wrist positions to compensate for hooking the ball, which can contribute to wrist and elbow subluxations. Chiropractic treatment includes adjustments to ease injuries and misalignments, plus conditioning and training to avoid future problems. From the year 1990 in the Akron Beacon Journal, security is driving force for Bennett. Akron bowler chooses against full-time career on LPBT. Debbie Bennett wonders, but doesn't act. Yes, security and its benefits can be such an attractive package. So let's celebrate Bennett and her accomplishments, and not ask her to gamble on the uncertain. For truly, and this is not provincialism or overstatement, she is one of the best woman bowlers in the United States. But instead of chasing the alleged glamour and non-alleged small paychecks of the Ladies Professional Bowlers Tour, the Akron native is content to build on her 7 years as a driver for United Parcel Service, to compete in local and state bowling tournaments, and to make brief, selected forays onto the LPBT Tour. I think about going out on tour. I would love to see how I would do, full-time, to prove what I have done has not been a fluke, said Bennett, 31. But it's too chancy out there and there isn't the money like the men have, she added. I have too much going for me with my job. As it is, I take 2 of my 3 vacation weeks to compete on tour. I couldn't do more than that. I couldn't leave. I like the benefits of the job. There are dreamers everywhere in every sport, many with an unrealistic and inflated self-image. Bennett does not qualify for that niche. She's good, but also smart. Evidence of her ability can be found 3 weeks ago in the $100,000 Sam's Town Invitational in Las Vegas, Nevada, one of the premier events on the LPBT schedule. Bennett took one of those vacation weeks she mentioned and met the best the pros could offer in a tournament, by the way, that she had won 3 years earlier. This time, she averaged 230 all week in qualifying and match game play and finished as the 2nd seed to Jean Maiden of Solon. In the televised championship round, Bennett lost her first match to eventual winner Wendy McPherson 241 to 228. That gave her 3rd place and a paycheck of $7,500. I had a good shot all week, said Bennett, who earlier in the year had finished a respectable 42nd in the U.S. Open in Dearborn, Michigan. I don't hook the ball a lot and that seemed to be the shot. I have to admit I was nervous. It was 3 years since I was on TV, so I was a nervous wreck, she added. I settled down, but Wendy had the shot. So Bennett left Las Vegas with a 3rd place, a hefty paycheck and one indelible memory. One of the pros, Michelle Mullen, came up to me late in the week and said, "How do you do this? How can you not be out here, full-time, and still do this?" That made me feel pretty good, said Bennett. Mullen's question can be answered by simply examining Bennett's background and accomplishment. Bennett is good and has been for some time. Her parents, John and Lil Heater, are avid bowlers and introduced their daughter to the game when she was 6 years old. She moved into the adult leagues when she was only 15 and qualified and played in the U.S. Open when she was 17. Bennett credits her family and, lately, her fiancé, John Quinella, wedding date September 14th, with her success. I owe a lot to my family. They have always been great and very supportive, said Bennett, who this year is competing in only one league, the Wednesday Night Ladies Classic at Stonehenge Place. And John has meant so much. The 1989 to 1990 to 1990 season can stand as a microcosm of her career. Her .218 average in the Wednesday Night Ladies Classic was recognized by the Women's International Bowling Congress as the 10th best average in the United States in 1989 to 1990. She won the Ohio State All-Events title and also the Akron All-Events Championship. For her overall performance, the Akron Women's Bowling Association named her as its Bowler of the Year. So, what's in the future for Debbie Bennett? Don't ask, because what she hopes for is more of the same. She is full of the odd combination of restlessness and contentment, but, most of all, she is practical and secure. Here is a news piece about the prevalence of bowling lanes in the homes of the wealthy in the Washington, D.C. area before the beginning of the 20th century. From the year 1895 in the Times. Sports of the Diplomat. If racing is the sport of kings, bowling is the sport of diplomats, for not a foreign official or a domestic sinecure, but indulges in the play of the black balls, and scarcely a permanent legation but has a bowling alley or is negotiating for one. The sport of bowling, as now practiced, is such a healthful one that it atones for the pie fever of this country and renders healthful those who must live within four walls for 6 months of the year instead of upon the Bay of Naples or paddling the waters of the Nile. Without bowling the diplomatic corps would, indeed, be lost for pastime, and in many respects. It takes the place of bicycling when roads are thick with snow or when Boreas and the rain are both let loose. The bowling belt of the country extends completely across it. It is first noticed about this time of year, and from now on until summer it is very conspicuous. The belles all bowl, and the men, without exception, are up on the strikes and spares of the alley. In Washington, where the diplomats bowl most, there are many private bowling alleys. Every house that has a billiard room owns a bowling alley, and it is noticed that the tables of one are deserted for the long alleys off the other. A private bowling alley is not a very expensive thing to possess. Nothing like as expensive as a private billiard room. A good billiard table, with Amazon rubber and real ivory balls with bone and oak cues, costs $200 for the table alone, and as much more for the fittings. The slab of slate underneath the table is what makes the heaviest of the expense, but nothing about it is cheap. The bowling alley, on the other hand, is merely a laid and polished floor. It tips slightly and has gutters at each side, with a pin pit at the foot of the alley. But this is easily arranged by the dealer in bowling alleys who supplies them at private houses. He does nothing else for a business but make these bowling alleys, and, as a great argument for the popularity of the alley at home, may be mentioned the fact that 3 bowling alley dealers in Washington have been made wealthy in a few years. In New York, then, bowling is mostly done at the few very swell bowling clubs of the city. The Ladies' Berkeley Club is the favorite for parties of young people evenings, but the Knickerbocker Bowling Club is the best patronized, being presided over by Mrs. Levi P. Morton and Mrs. J. Hooker Hammersley, and is where the older members of society and the visiting diplomats play. The etiquette of a bowling alley consists in more than supplying the alley and issuing invitations. Time was when people dropped in for an hour's heroic exercise at bowling to go away and tell of it as they would boast of a 25-mile walk. But that was bowling in the old days before the invention of finger balls. From the year 1974 in the News Journal, Duckpins Beckon Rider, by Jean Yockey. It wasn't until I threw my 3rd ball in the first frame that I began to realize how different duckpins are from tenpins. As a tenpin bowler, I had always wanted to try the other sport, and since I was vacationing in the Baltimore area, the sport's hotbed, I decided to give it a go. The most outstanding things I noticed right away were The pins are much smaller at 9 and 13/32 inches tall, compared to 15 inches for the 10-pin, and so is the ball. In 10-pins, that is the official term for the game we in Ohio call bowling. The ball is allowed to have a circumference up to 27 inches and it may weigh up to 16 pounds. In duckpins, the ball has a diameter of 5 inches, that's a circumference of close to 20 inches, has no finger holes, and can weigh up to 3 pounds 12 ounces. There are more differences. The smaller pins are set on the same grid as are the 10-pins. That is, they are 12 inches apart from center to center. Also, you can throw the ball 3 times in each frame. I had always heard that duckpins was tougher than 10-pins. Now I know why. First of all, it felt strange to use such a small, light ball. It threw me off balance and I wasn't able to make the proper adjustments. I will be the first to admit that I am not a good bowler. Believe it or not, though, I was even worse at duckpins. In 3 games, I had 2 spares and no strikes. My series was well below the normal of 100 to 110 per game. My main problem seemed to be that I couldn't keep the ball in the center of the lane. Also, I couldn't put a hook on it without the aid of finger holes. I hit a lot of 7 and 10 pins, though. The woman at the control desk told me the major difference between 10-pins and duckpins is 10-pins is a game of strikes, and duckpins a game of spares. A good duckpin bowler will average 120 to 130. Professionals have averaged around 136, although this figure is climbing. In answer to my questions, the manager of the house in Reisterstown, Maryland gave me a complete tour of the establishment. He was friendly and cooperative to the extent he even took me behind the pin setters to show me how they operate. All in all, it was an enjoyable, if frustrating, experience and one I will not soon forget. And no one is going to find out what I shot. From the year 1974 in the News Journal, Determine Your Point of Origin, by Judy Cook, Sutar. As in the selection of the ball, you should experiment and select a stance which is most comfortable and natural for you. The first objective is to find your point of origin, or where to stand on the approach, to begin the movement toward the foul line. Walk to the foul line, then turn and face the approach area. Place your heels approximately 2 inches from the foul line. Take 4.5 brisk steps toward the back of the approach. Then look down at the dots or the ball return to determine exactly where your toe is placed. Turn and face the pins and you should be at approximately your point of origin. Now take several practice approaches. If you wind up several inches over the foul line, move your point of origin farther back on the approach. The opposite is correct if you finish short of the foul line. For right-handed bowlers, the point of origin would be to the right of the center dot. The right shoulder should line up directly above the board where the second dot right of center is in line with the second arrow on the lane, which is the common strike target. Fix this position in your mind so that you can return to it consistently. Minor corrections may be required as your skills increase, but the basic location of this point of origin will remain relatively fixed. From the year 1993 in the Palm Beach Post. Turner to be LPBT's Taminator. 2-time Team USA bowler Tammy Turner of West Palm Beach is a good bet to be the next superstar in women's professional bowling. Turner, who plans to turn pro in 1994 after completing her Team USA commitment, should be just as successful on the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour as she has been in international amateur competition. She won $10,000 in her first LPBT singles tournament, finishing second to Robin Romeo in the Bud Light, $115,000, Sam's Town Invitational at Las Vegas on November 20th. Turner, 23 and a former national collegiate champion at West Texas State, could have won the match with 2 strikes in the 10th frame but left the 2 and lost by 3 pins. "I couldn't believe I had a chance to win," said Turner, who finished with 4 strikes to beat Dana Miller-Mackey 228 to 204 in the semifinals. "I was just clueless on that lane. But I am not disappointed. I was just happy to do as well as I did." Turner had the highest average of the 24 match play qualifiers, 216.6 for 56 games. But Romeo, who averaged 216.4, earned the number 1 seed on bonus points. She was 18-5-1 in match play. Turner was 13-10-1. A week earlier, Turner had the 5th highest average, 221, in the LPBT national doubles, but her partner, Daytona Beach pro Laura Moriarty, averaged only 198.86, and the team finished 9th. Because of her strength, I didn't know what to expect, said Romeo, who won the $20,000 top prize after being the invitational runner-up 3 times. I just had to watch. LPBT fans figured to get plenty of chances to watch the bowler they call the Taminator on ESPN telecast. A gold medalist in the 1993 Federational Internacional de Quillers American Zone Championships at Guadalajara, Mexico, she has a devastating hook and the ability to adapt to varying lane conditions. She should be one of the LPBT's top performers well into the 21st century. Turner is one of 5 amateurs on the ballot 4-woman bowlers All-America team, which is dominated annually by LPBT members. The others are national amateur champion Elizabeth Johnson, Californian Stacey Manley, and Canadians Karen Kalura and Sandy Lowe. From the Cumberland News in the year 1952, bowling alley operators get suspended fines. Trial magistrate J. Milton Dick returned verdicts Saturday in the case of 3 Cumberland bowling alley operators accused of violating the Maryland child labor law. However, the defendants Patrick J. Stakem, proprietor of the club recreation parlors, Meyer J. Christner, operator of the Capitol bowling alleys, and Frank Woodrow Gurley of Gurley's Liberty Lanes, had their fines of $10 and costs each suspended. Pointing out that the defendants are well-known businessmen of integrity, Magistrate Dick remarked, "The embarrassment of your being in court is punishment enough, and I can't treat this as a criminal case." Stakem and Gurley had entered nol contendere pleas, while Christner pleaded guilty. Cases were heard during the past 2 weeks, but Magistrate Dick reserved an opinion until yesterday. Warrants for their arrest were secured during the week of November 16 after Robert Andres Eckhart, inspector for the State Department of Labor and Industry, checked area bowling alleys, assisted by John Minnick. The law specifies that no male minor under 16 shall be employed in a theater, concert hall, cabaret, carnival, rodeo, floor show, pool room, billiard parlor, and bowling alley. Andres said Stakem and Christner had minors working as pin boys. The inspector added that 3 places had pin boys of 16 and 17 on the job without employment certificates, and after 10 p.m. State regulations stipulate that such certificates are needed and that boys are not to work after 10 p.m. Andres began checking bowling alleys after school authorities stated some of the youths involved fell asleep in classrooms and that others had poor attendance. However, all but one of the boys had average or better than average grades. According to Andres, 18-year-olds who quit school may be employed as pin boys and after 10 o'clock at night. However, Stakem stated he would not hire youths in that category. Some boys would quit school for that purpose, and with their parents' consent, he said, adding he felt that hiring such youths would hamper their future. Stakem has been engaged in business here since 1907.
Well, I guess we've come to the end and we'll be wrapping it up for today. Thanks for stopping by and tuning in. As usual, if you haven't already done so and would like to be notified when future videos become available and are published, feel free to hit the subscribe button in the lower right corner of the videos or YouTube video screen. Have a great week, and I look forward to seeing everyone on the upcoming Thursday or Friday. Take care.